Hello and welcome to this Jolly Phonics training. I'm sorry we're having a few technical difficulties today, but well done on finding us and joining us again. My name is Dan and I work for an organisation called Beyond Ourselves, and we have been behind the push nationally towards Jolly Phonics. So we are based in Ndola, and so primarily we've been working on the Copper Belt, and we've seen massive movements forward in the Copper Belt. We are now at a point where all government schools and community schools are using Jolly Phonics to help transition their learners from Zambian language literacy to English literacy. I know that we are having a few technical difficulties today, so I know that people are starting to find us once again. Welcome back. We got cut off and when we were trying to share some videos. I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to share my screen with you today. Because I've got a PowerPoint presentation that is, that I think you really need to see. So it might be that I need to switch again, but let's see if we can figure this out as we're going along the way. So today, oh look, I might be able to do this. Today we are going to be going through an orientation into Jolly Phonics. So this is basically learning about how the program works, why it works, and why it's been so impactful in Zambia. And then in a couple of weeks' time, we're going to have a continuation of this series. So once the new curriculum has been released, once we've got a better idea of the syllabus and that's been made public and all teachers are kind of able to see how phonics is reflected in the curriculum, then we're going to be looking again at Jolly Phonics and just looking about how do you teach it practically in your classrooms? So we're going to have a bit more of an insight into the different steps within a Jolly Phonics lesson, but we're also going to have some lesson demonstrations as part of that. Okay, so I hope that that's going to be coming together well. I do have a PowerPoint presentation that I want to share with you, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to share my screen effectively. So I might, we'll see whether I cut off again. But maybe we'll just go through some things. So maybe let's start with this. So first of all, I just really do want to encourage everybody, if you've not already done this, you want to make sure that you have got the Jolly Phonics Lessons app. And so let me show you what that looks like on my phone. So it looks like this. Here it's opening up. And so this app is completely free on the Google Play Store. And it's got all of the lessons on here. It's got all of the sounds of Jolly Phonics. It's got games, and so you've got some different game options. So I can show you what that looks like.
Words. Sandwich.
So it gets you to practice reading words. It gets you to practice handwriting skills on it. It's a great app. I know that sometimes parents want to give their phone to their children. If you want to make sure that they're using their time well when they've got your phone, then this is a great app to get hold of. It's completely free on the Google Play Store. I think that if you've got an iPhone, I have a feeling that there are costs involved on the Apple iStore, but it's free on Google Play Store. So that's number one. Get yourself one of those. Number two is we'd say follow us on Facebook. So if you found this already, then maybe you're already following us. Maybe you've seen us already in action. But on our Facebook page, that's where we're going to share videos and updates. We share resources. We're going to share links to websites and to other things that will be really valuable as you make these steps towards teaching literacy or English literacy through Jolly Phonics. So follow us on Facebook, get the app. Those are the two number one things that you want to do. The third thing that you want to make sure that you do is get yourself some training in Jolly Phonics. Okay, so Beyond Ourselves, we offer, usually we do a 2-day training and we go through all of the program really in depth. We play games, we get it to a point where you know how to assess, you know how to write lesson plans, all surrounding this. But most importantly, you know how to deliver the content effectively. So we do recommend you do that. We've got a book that comes alongside this. So there's a color version and then there's a black and white version as well. So we're trying to make sure that these are more available. We get lots of requests for the Jolly Phonics teaching aid from people. And at the moment, it's easier for us to get these to people in the Copperbelt province. But if you're based elsewhere, what we're doing is we're looking at ways to see if we can get these books sent to your district resource centres so that you can have local access to this fantastic resource. But if I show you this briefly, so what happens is that in the teaching aid, it shows you a lesson plan or a lesson overview for all of the sounds of Jolly Phonics. So we'll go through some of this more in detail, and I'll reference to this book later on as well. So we will come back to that. But you want to make sure that you've got the app, that you're following us on Facebook, that you get yourself some training, and that you also want to get a Jolly Phonics book like this. Okay, so those are our top recommendations. What we are looking at today, though, is we're going to be looking at an overview of this Jolly Phonics program. So what I want to start with is I want to start off with what are some of the challenges that you're facing in literacy, and what do you know about Jolly Phonics already? You know, what questions do you have? So do make sure that you make use of the chat. I'm going to be looking in from that as well. It's great to see lots of people checking in, lots of familiar names as well. Good to see people from Livingston and Solwezi, Mufulira. This is great. I am going to be hoping still to share my screen, but we'll see whether that's going to be possible. Yeah. Okay. Well, we're going to carry on, and we're going to be thinking about, what challenges do you face when it comes to English literacy? Because those are the key questions that we think about when it comes to doing our trainings. We want to make sure that our trainings are as effective as possible, answering the questions and the queries that you've got. So do think about those things as well, and do message us with those questions. Okay. So we are now thinking about, so we've got a load of other resources that are available as well. So we've got posters, we've got worksheets, we've got other programs. So do get in touch, do ask us about things that we can help with, because we're here to help. We want to make sure that you're teaching English literacy effectively. Okay, so let's talk about Jolly Phonics. It would be great to know what are some of the things that we would like to learn more about in Jolly Phonics. So do fill in on the chat. What are some of the things that you would like to learn about today, if you're less familiar with this? Because we often do get a number of challenges that people talk to us about. So some of the challenges that we've had in the past, and maybe you will identify with these challenges, is that we've got that often children don't know the sounds of English. When we're going from Zambian language literacy to English language literacy, in Zambian language, well, in Ichibemba, on the Copperbelt, we've got that there are like 22 sounds in Ichibemba, whereas we've got 44 sounds in English. And so what Jolly Phonics does effectively is that it looks at teaching these sounds. So you can see in this banner that's just behind me here, we've got a variety of different sounds that are just up on this display. So we've got single letter sounds, so like S. So these are letters and sounds that make the same sound in Chibemba and most Zambian languages. Zambian languages are, we call them quite transparent, because they always make the same sound. So all letters make the same sounds. Whereas in English, unfortunately, you've got lots of letters and sounds that sometimes make different, the same letter might make many different sounds. So for instance, let's look at this. And let me get a pen. So in English, some sounds make, some sounds can be made in a variety of different ways. So if we were looking at this, and if I said this sound here, so we'd write it like this, and we'd think of the word pie. Okay, so we've got two sounds there. We've got p and I. So the IE is making the I sound, which is the same as the letter name I. And it's the same as like your I. Okay, good. So the I sound can actually be made in a number of different ways. Okay, so let's think about that. So what other ways do you know how to spell the sound I? So let's think about other words that use the I sound in. So it's the long I. So I'm looking to the chat for this. What are some of the other ways or other words that use the long I sound in English? Okay, I can see somebody's written the word I. So here, another spelling of I. So sometimes we say the I sound by just doing the single letter I, as in the word I. Okay, but also as the same, if you think of the word tiger, you've got I, so tiger. So we've got the I is sometimes a way that we spell the I sound. Okay, good, fantastic. I can see tie and pie and lie. Good. So that's this same spelling. Can you think of any other ways that we might spell this same sound? Okay, so maybe let me give you a clue. If I said something about the light, yeah, the light. What's making the I sound in the word light? Okay, fantastic. I can see that. Well done, Mercy. Yeah, good. I can see. So Mercy's got the IGH. So IGH is another way of spelling I, and I'm seeing somebody else has written cry. Great. So cry. Let's look at the sounds in cry. We've got k, r, I. So here, the letter Y is the one that's making the I sound. So here, it's the letter Y. And that's the same as if I said my, yeah? I. Okay? So here, light, if we go back to this one, I, t. So there's only three sounds there, but we've got one of the spellings of I is IGH together. And so that's those three sounds. We'll talk about what that is later on. Good. Good. I'm seeing lots of highs and lights. Good. Well done. Hey, we've got a bright bunch today. So well done on your participation. It's always good to see people being active on this. Okay. Good. A key one that we've missed out though is in the word like. Okay, can you see that? You can see that. Good. Like. So, what is making the I sound in like? I'm going to give you a second to think about that. Okay. What is making the I sound in like? So think about that. I'm just trying to find a cloth to clean my board. Okay. So let's see how it's coming in. Good. Alternatives, GH, fantastic. Good, I can see this. Yes, we've got rice. Somebody's written this. So the same thing, the I sound here. So this is also like rice. What's making the I sound? So here, let's look at this together. So we've got, the first sound is L. Then the next sound that we've got is I. So here, this is saying I. And then the next sound that we can hear is k, l, I, k. And so some people talk about the E being silent, but I think of it as the E and the I together are making the I sound. So when I and E are together here, we know they make the I sound. But when they're just separated by one consonant, they also make the I sound. So we call this is called let me give you a chance to answer. What is it called when you've got two sounds that are together, two letters that are together that make one sound? So two letters that make one sound. So here, two letters making one sound. What's that called? Okay, I'm going to give you a chance to answer on there. Have a little think. I'll give you a chance to type it. Seeing some of these answers that are coming in. Great. Well done. So, what's it called? Yes, fantastic. Thank you. Well done, Fred. I can see that coming in. Well done, Cassie. Some good answers. Oh man, you guys are smart today. That's good. Yes, it's called a digraph. You've got to be careful here. People want to say diagraph, but it's just digraph. 2 syllables, digraph. Okay? And so it's a digraph where 2 letters are together that make one sound. So here, this is for extra points for you smart people. So here, this is a digraph, 2 letters making one sound. Here, we've got 2 letters making one sound, but they're not together. So does anybody know what's it called when you've got 2 letters that make one sound, but they are split? That's a bit of a clue. Okay, so have a little think about that. Okay. Yes, I've got some answers coming in. Good stuff. Well done, Kangwa. Yeah, so this is a split digraph. Okay, so we call this a split digraph. Okay, so we've got. So one sound, the I sound, can be written in a few different ways. And do you know what? There's probably more than this that I've forgotten right now. But we've got digraphs, split digraphs. Does anybody want to feel really fancy? Can they tell me what this is called? Because this isn't a digraph. Digraph is 2 letters that make one sound, whereas this is 3 letters that make one sound. So what is this called? Okay, I'm going to leave that one on there, but we are going to be coming back to this idea in a bit. Okay. Oh, this is going to make a lot of noise. Okay. When you've got, let's see what we've got. Look at that. Hey, Clara, I don't know who you are, but I want to get to know you. You've got some good ideas here, and best to look at this. Yes, these are called trigraphs. Yeah, so tri meaning 3, like triangle, or tripod, tricycle. So trigraph is 3 letters that make one sound. So if you got that, give yourself a thumbs up as well. Okay, so. Oh. Fantastic. So here we are. I was meant to be sharing a screen with you, but it's not quite worked. So you've got my beautiful face to deal with instead. So I hope that's okay. But we are going to be thinking about Jolly Phonics and learning more about Jolly Phonics. And what's great is that I can see I've already got people that are interested in sounds and phonics involved in this. If you are new to this, let me just explain some things really quickly. Traditionally, we have not always taught all of the sounds in Zambia, and even in the UK where I'm from. We've not always been about teaching the sounds. And sometimes that's been limited to teaching the alphabet and alphabet letters, and then that's been as far as it's gone. But what Jolly Phonics does is about teaching all of the sounds of the English language. And so here we've got 42 sounds that are listed. There are some other extra sounds, but we deal with those later because they're not used very often at all. So we don't introduce those in the first year of Jolly Phonics. Okay? But what we do in Jolly Phonics is we introduce the most common spelling for each sound of the English language. And then after that, we add on those alternative spellings, like we saw before. So we introduce I like this, but later on, we teach some of the other spellings of I as well, okay? So what we like to do in our trainings is that before we look forward into the future, and the future is jolly, we kind of do reflect back on what has been happening as well. And in Zambia and around the world, we've swung between a couple of different methods of teaching literacy. So we've kind of either been looking at phonics, and that has had its place in Zambia in the past, but then sometimes we also go to whole word method as well. And whole word method is basically where we're thinking about teaching children to look and say, to memorize words. So I think you've probably seen this already in your past, but have you ever heard of people called Jolita and Malenga? Give me a thumbs up if you've heard of Jolita and Malenga. Good, good. Okay, I can see those thumbs coming in. Good. All right. So, here we go. Good. So, Jolita and Malenga is a classic example of whole word recognition. It's about repetition in stories, and it's about children kind of reading and remembering bits of a text. So, for instance, let's have a think about some of those examples. So, I've got a story here. You're not going to be able to see it. Maybe you can see my other screen if I do this. Can you see that? Maybe I could do that. That would be a bit weird though. Shall I try and do that? Okay, let's look at this. Fantastic. Okay, so we've got Jolita and Malenga here, and this is a classic example of Jolita and Malenga and one of their books. So can you see this? Let's see if I can make that bigger. I'm not sure I can. But it says this. So this is Malenga. Look at Malenga. This is a ball. Then you turn the page and it says, this is a ball. Look at the ball. Look at the ball. The ball is green. It is a green ball. So the Jolita and Malenga books were a classic example of stories where you're repeating the same language, and it's not necessarily words that children can read, but you're expecting children to memorize those words instead. Okay, and we've seen this with teachers where they'll hold up a word and it'll be like, it might say something like this on that word. Oh, my pen's not working. It might be something like this, and it'll be like, this is boy. This is boy. What word is this? Boy. And then you're showing your learners and you're trying to get them to memorize the words. And the problem is that there's so many words in the English language that it's going to be hard for you to get them to memorize all of the words in the language. And so this is really challenging because you do find that some learners do well with this. Some learners do memorize words, and they can once they're memorizing words, they can see patterns and they can pick up patterns. But you'll get a lot of learners where basically their memories run out and they're just left behind. And so I want to do a quick exercise with you. I'm going to try and do the two screens thing again to see if that will work for me. But we're going to do an exercise. So have you got a paper and pen? I hope so. I hope you're making notes. So find your paper and pen. And I want you to, before we do any writing, I want you to try and memorize this word. So I'm going to put a word on the screen, and I want you to memorize this word. So are you ready? I'm going to give you 10 seconds to memorize this word. Okay, are you ready? Here we go. So this is the word. Can you see it? So look at it. I didn't tell you it's in Arabic. It's not going to be an easy word for you to memorize, but can you memorize that word? I'm going to give you 5 more seconds. 4, 3, 2, and 1. So back this way. Yes, that was a bit tricky. How are you doing? How are you doing with that? It's not straightforward. So have a go at writing that. And it's a tricky thing that we're asking you to do, because here I'm asking you to memorize a word, but you don't really know that language. If you don't know Arabic, you're going to really struggle to write down that word. And that's what we're seeing in many classrooms around Zambia. We're seeing children that don't know the sounds of English, and therefore they're struggling to write something that actually means something to them. We can't expect children to memorize. There's so many words in the English language. You can't expect children to memorize all of the words, but you can learn the sounds and then apply that sound knowledge to being able to read and write effectively in English. So phonics is all about learning the sounds of English, and it's about being able to hear the sounds, identify the sounds, and move those sounds around within words as well. And we'll talk more about this as we keep going. But Jolly Phonics is, by name, it's a jolly, it's a fun, it's a child-centered approach to learning. And I'm sure that right now I've got a lot of people that are watching this that have used Jolly Phonics in some way. So if you've used Jolly Phonics in some way, maybe if you can share with the others, please don't take my word for it, take everybody's words for it, that it's a fun approach. So if it's a fun approach, I don't know, write a quick sentence for those other people that are watching. And do keep an eye on the comments, everybody, as we're going through this. Okay. But this approach is called, this kind of phonics is called systematic synthetic phonics. And now, some of these slides that I'm struggling to share with you today, these are actually available on our Facebook page, okay? So some of the things that I'm talking about, I'll be able to show you how you can get these, or actually I can send a link I'll attach a link to this, to the slides that I'm looking at, okay? But here we're going to be thinking about systematic synthetic phonics. And so it's a fancy word, but basically what it means is the same way that we're teaching Zambian language in Zambia, okay? So it's about learning all of the sounds of a language, and it's about learning them in a systematic order, so in a specific order. What you'll see behind me in this poster, we don't go in alphabetical order, okay? We actually also don't go, please note this, we don't just teach the short vowels and then teach the consonants and then teach the long vowels. The order that we teach these sounds in has been designed and refined over a number of years, okay? And the idea of this order is that you're teaching the most commonly used sounds first, and then one of the best things about Jolly Phonics is that as children learn the sounds, and when I say learn the sounds, they learn how to pronounce the sounds, and then they learn how to form the sounds. So there's a handwriting element there as well. They learn how to write each of these sounds correctly, okay? So they learn how to pronounce the sounds, they learn how to form the sounds, and then that knowledge of sounds is applied to develop the skills of blending, which is the skill of reading or decoding words, and it's applied to the skill of sounding out words. And sounding out is basically spelling words. So let me show you what I mean by this. So here, when children have learnt, so if we have a look at this first line here, when children have gone through the first 6 lessons and they've learnt all of these sounds, then we get children to start applying that knowledge of the sounds and what they look like to try and read words. So we'll use words that are made up of these sounds. So if you come to a training, we'll show you how many words there are using these first 6 sounds. But there's like over 30 sounds that children should be able to read when they've just learnt those first 6 sounds. So let's have a look at this word here. So hopefully you can read that word okay. Can you read that fine? So the word there. So if a child's learnt these first 6 sounds, then they've already learnt all of the sounds in this word. So they should be able to have a go at identifying these sounds. So this is blending. So what's the first sound we've got here? We've got, remember our learners should know this already because we've taught them this earlier in the week, but they've got t. And then the next sound that we've got is I. Okay? And then the next sound that we've got is n. Now, in Jolly Phonics, if you don't know this already, Jolly Phonics, each sound that we teach our learners, when we teach the sound, we also teach an action as well. And that's one of the things that helps learners to really, it's kind of like, it's like little hooks that help learners remember those sounds more effectively. So, so here we've got, so that's the action for that one is, and that's like watching a tennis game. We might talk about that another time. And then we've got I, and so that's the sound that we have for it's a mouse or a rat. Okay, so there's a story about this one. And then finally we've got and this is a story about a naughty boy that makes a noise like an aeroplane. Okay, so we've got I and So when a child's trying to read that, we're saying at this point that we're giving them this word. They've already been taught those 3 sounds. So therefore, they should be able to read that successfully. They should be able to go t, I, and then they should go t, I, n. Now, if a child's struggling to read that word, usually it's because one of 2 things. One is maybe they haven't learned those sounds. Maybe they don't know this is t, I, and n. But the other thing that they might struggle with is that some learners really struggle to blend the sounds together. And that's where we need to practice something called oral blending. Okay, so oral blending is where I will, as a teacher, I will say some sounds and you as the learners are going to tell me what the word is. So we can try and do some now in this training. So let's go for this. I know there's a little bit of a delay, so let's see how you get on. So if I say d, o, g, then you should be able to listen to those sounds and think, well, what are those sounds going to be if I put those sounds together? This is blending, right? So oral blending. D, o, g. So what word does that make? I'll do a few and then you can catch up with me, I think. Then let's try k, at, k, at. Okay, so think about that one. And then let's go for one more and I'll go for p, e, n. P, e, n. Okay, so I'm seeing dogs come through now. Well done. I'm seeing a cat and hopefully you'll get a pen as well. Okay, but that's oral blending. Now, that's doing oral blending in English. You can do it in Zambian languages too. Okay, so I would love that if we've got any teachers of Zambian languages here, I'd love to see this much more in Zambian language because we do learn the sounds in Zambian languages, but then there's a lot of focus on learning the syllables and drilling on the syllables. And what we need to do more of, I think, is rather than going ta, te, ti, to, tu, we need our learners to be able to go to. Do they know that a to is t and u? There's 2 sounds in there. The syllables are actually blends of sounds. Yeah. So I see some people saying I have some learners who say cup when I've done d or g. That's a bit of a different issue. They are just guessing. So I would say, Clara, so for children like that, start in Zambian language. So start with going, you can just go t, a, and see if they can say ta. Yeah, and then if they can do that, then you can build up from doing syllables. Let me do another one. So I could say, you can go wa, a, moi. Yeah, so you can do that with Zambian syllables. And then you can do it, getting them to blend syllables together. So you could go na, pa, ta. Can they hear the word na, pa, ta? Okay, that's how you could build up oral blending using Zambian language first. And then you can jump over to English, and you can think of it. You can either go for words that are they've got two sounds in. So you've got at, and again, if you're starting orally, you don't write that on the board. If you're starting orally, you just go at and see if they can hear the word at. But you can do a word like cat, and let me show you how you could do that. So again, let me write this. Because you can split that word in different places. So I could go at, I can go at, or I could go cat, and see if they can hear the words as well. Okay, does that make sense? So you can, oral blending is about helping learners to when they're trying to read a word and they're going t, I, n, you want them to really grow that ability to be able to hear t, I, n, and turn that into the word tin. Yeah. So oral blending is a real strong key to being able to then do blending. Okay. So if children can orally blend, then when they come to a word like this and they're looking at and they go t, I, n, then they should be able to go tin. Okay, so that's blending, and then the opposite side of that is sounding. So blending is about helping us to put sounds together to be able to read words. Sounding is the opposite side of that, where it's like if we want to write a word or if we want to spell a word, then we need to be able to hear the word and cut it into its sounds. So let's say if I want to write the word hen, then I need to think, well, what's the first sound that I can hear in the word hen? So think about this for yourself. So hen, the first sound that you can hear is okay. So if I've learnt these sounds already, then I know what a looks like. And this is the important thing of Jolly Phonics. When teaching a sound, you want to make sure that you're only using sounds that the learners know already. Okay, so let's look at hen. So imagine that I've learnt these sounds already. So hen, the first sound is so I can write that. Then what's the next sound? N, hen. So the next sound is and then hen, hen. The next sound is n. Okay, so here we go. And then I test it out. N, hen. And that's how we want our learners to think about how they are sounding out words, how they're writing words independently. Okay, so we're trying to get our learners away from copying words, memorizing words, but instead we want them to learn the sounds of a language, learn the sounds of English, and be able to read words and write words when they're thinking through the sounds and how they relate to those words. Okay, so here we are. Let's have a look at our thing here. We've got 42 sounds here, and as we said already, we've got some sounds that are single letter sounds, so you can see that. So you've got letter M that makes the sound, you've got letter F that makes the sound, you've got letter N that makes the sound, but then you've also got some letters where two letters are making one sound. Now, we've already talked about this, so those of you that have been with us since the beginning of this training, you should know this already, but two letters that make one sound is called a digraph. Di means two here, so digraph. If you've got three, it's called a trigraph. And if you've got four, it's called a quadgraph. There you go, an extra fact for you. But when we're teaching the sounds of English, we're starting off with the most common spellings for all of these sounds. And so we've got single letter sounds, and then we've got double letter sounds, or these digraphs, okay? So let me go here and let's see how well you do at all of these sounds. Do you know these sounds? Let's see. Okay, if you don't, you can find these on the app. Okay, so all of these sounds you'll find on the app. So let me show you my app again. So if you can see that, fantastic. So you can see all of these sounds are on the app, and if you click on one, so let's go there, it will tell you the story, but it will also help you with the sound and how it's done. So let's do that again. Fantastic. Okay, so the app is really great. We've also got videos on our Facebook page, so do check that out. But these are the sounds of Jolly Phonics. I'm hoping you know all of these, but I'm going to go through them, see if you can do this with me. So the first one we've got is S, A, T. Okay, now these three are all the same in Zambian language and in English. But when we get to here, I, this one should be I, okay? Now the short vowels always should be really nice and short. So we want that to be I, I. And then we've got P, Now looking at time, I'm not going to go through all of these, but I am going to look at the digraphs in here as well. So let's look at these. So here are the digraphs. So 2 letters that make one sound. Again, this is on our Facebook page. So you're going to find this on our Facebook page. So here we've got 2 letters together. So this is as in the same sound in the long vowel sound A, as in the word rain. R-A-N. Yeah. And what we do here is we talk about one of these spelling rules called 2 vowels go walking, the first one does the talking. So when we've got 2 vowels that come together, often they make the sound, well, that's the same as the name of the first vowel. Okay, let me show you that again. So here we've got 2 vowels go walking. The first one does the talking, it says its name. So when letters A and I go walking together, they make the sound A, which is the name of the first one. So let's look at this again. So if you think of the word road, road, then the sound in the middle, the vowel sound in the middle of that is the O sound. So an O and an A, when they come together, they say the name of the first vowel, which is O. We looked at this one earlier. So letters I and E, when these 2 vowels go walking, as in the word pie, they make the sound P, I. They say the name of the first one, right? And the same here, when we've got 2 vowels go walking, they say the name of the first one. So think of the word tree, T-R-E. So they say the name of the first one, letter E, okay? And the other one that's true for is here, 2 vowels go walking, we've got U. So this is the long vowel sound U, as in the word Q, okay, or dew. So then these other digraphs, again, some of these are a bit tricky, so let's just go through them quickly. We've got O and R together, that's the OR sound, as in the word OR. Then this one's familiar because this is the same in Zambian languages. Is NG together makes the ng sound. So it's ng. I'm not sure if my microphone's picking all of this up. That's why getting the app is really important. Remember, it's free to download. Then the letters O and O together, when they go together, they make 2 different sounds. So they make the sound and the oo sound. So the as in hook and the oo sound as in roof. Okay, or spoon, and oo. CH, this is the same in Zambian languages. You know this sound. This is the ch, and then we've got the sh, sh. Then again, TH makes 2 different sounds. We've got the f and the th. So we call that the voiced and unvoiced, so we can look at that another time. Letter Q and U always are found together in the English language, okay? So these are taught together as a digraph because when they're found together, they make the qu sounds, okay? So qu. Then you've got the O and the U, which is the ow sound, as in mouth or shout or out. The OI makes the oi sound as in oil, oi. We've done this one already. And then the last two sounds are really similar. So these are tricky, but you've got the sound as in, it's the same sound as in the word hurt or herb. And you've got the R sound as in the word heart or cart. Okay, so those are the 42 sounds that we've got, and those are the digraphs that we think about as well. Okay, good. How are we doing? Are we following? I know that we've gone to 45 minutes already, but we had some technical difficulties to begin with. But what we've got in our resource, and this is a really valuable thing to look at, is we've got a page that looks like this. So this is why normally I say it's a good idea that you've got this book in our training, because it's got this page here. So I don't know if you can see this. I'm going to hold it up to my camera. But here it's got, on this side, all of the sounds of English. And then it's got some sounds that are the same in Zambian language, and then some sounds that are different, and then some sounds that are new. Now, here's a key thing for you and your learners. We want to make sure that if your learners' language that they're speaking at home, they're not going to have access to all of the sounds of English. They're not going to know those sounds. And so it's really important when trying to help to develop our learners to take them from the known to the unknown. What sounds do they know already, and what sounds are going to be new to them? Okay? And what's great, I think, about Jolly Phonics is that it's not teaching those sounds in isolation, but it's always about applying those sounds to some application. Okay? So, I want to do something where I just want to make sure that we're understanding the term safe words, and then we're going to do a couple of other things, and we're going to be trying to finish up in the next 20 minutes or so. Okay, so I hope you're with me. I hope you're following okay. So there's a really important term called safe words, and so actually I can put it up on this screen again. Let's do it this way. So safe words are words that only, and that's an important word here, that only contain sounds that have already been taught. We don't want to set children up for failure by asking them to read words that contain sounds that they've never learned. Okay? So, if you come to a training, you might have seen this already, but we're going to be thinking about this here. Okay? So, on our board, can you tell me, people that are joining in, can you tell me a basic word that you might use to introduce the sound the letter M, the sound okay? So this one here. Can you tell me a basic word that you might use to introduce that sound to your learners? Okay? So if you could start typing that into the chat, that would be really great. Let me have a look at some of your comments already. I'm seeing a few people asking about how you can get hold of the books. We are going to make sure, especially, it's helpful to know where you're writing this from. So thank you for adding that you're in Kidsway. So Naomi, we can get that book to you more easily because we can drop off a load of books at the District Resource Centre, and then that might be a good place to buy a book from. So these books that we've got, so these are 75 kwacha, and they've got the whole program in that you need. You can teach the whole program to your learners just from this resource, okay? And we're going to do extra trainings over the next couple of weeks before schools open in how to use that resource to teach it effectively. So if you are interested in getting the books, do let us know where you're coming from. Okay, great. We've got some of these words coming in. Good. I can see some words. So I'm going to write them up on the board here. So we had, I saw man, I saw mum. I'm going to write, so somebody wrote it with the American spelling, but I've written it with the British spelling. I'm apologizing. But it's mum rather than, we don't say mom, unless you're American, in which case I apologize. So we've got mum, man, we've got mat, monkey, great. What else? Mad. I like that one. Good. Lots of. It's interesting. There's lots of ones that mad. Men. All right. Good. Munchos. Would that be a word that you'd use? Sure. Why not? Munchos. I guess, is that a name of a crisps? Yeah, maybe. Okay. So let's have a look at these. I'm not going to. Mad. And I'm going to write one more. Okay, so let me move my camera over so you can see this. Can you see? So in Jolly Phonics, if you're new to Jolly Phonics, the way that we teach the sounds is we start here and we teach them sounds one at a time. And usually, if you're doing this at grade 3, we would recommend that you teach 4 sounds a week. We want you to go quite fast with this because it's about learning the sounds, and each day when you move on to a new sound, you're still revising the old sounds a bit, okay? So it's still children can sustain that pace, okay? So imagine that we're teaching the sounds here, and we've got to letter M sound okay? So if we're teaching the sound, I want you to think about whether these words are safe or not. So let me move out of the way so you can see them. So the first one, let's do this together. Man. So let's look at to see whether this is safe. And what we mean by safe is that, if you remember, they only contain, safe words are words that only contain sounds that have already been taught. So man, have we taught all of those sounds by the time that we do this one? Okay, so think about that. So man, let's look at this. So is that a safe word? If you think it's a safe word, thumbs up. If you don't think it's a safe word, thumbs down, okay? Okay. So man is a safe word, isn't it? Yeah, because we've taught all of those sounds, okay? Let's have a look at mum though, okay? So mum, is mum safe? So let's look at this one. Mum, so we've taught this sound. Mum goes So is mum safe? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Okay, good. No, says Veronica. Well done, Veronica. Yeah. I can go to some of these questions later on. Okay, yes. So no, mum is not safe, is it? Because we haven't taught the sound yet, okay? So even though mum is a really common word, we're not going to ask our learners to start reading it, because what we would be doing is we would be expecting them to memorize a word because they don't know this sound yet. You've not taught that sound, okay? So let's go through some of these other ones. So maybe you can write down what are some of the other safe words that are up here. So write down some of the other safe words. I've seen some people doing this already. Whilst you're doing that, let me have a look at some of these questions that you've got. We're going to be sending some of these books to the Lusaka district resource centres. So if you are in Lusaka and you wanted to get a copy of the book, we're going to be able to do that as well. Okay. So in fact, I think at the moment, the EOTED for Lusaka province, there's some at the Lusaka district resource centre at Lotus School. So I think there's only about 60 books there at the moment. But if you're interested in that, then then do get in touch with your DRCC to see if you can get them. And if they don't know, then get in touch with me. Okay? So, looking at this. Good. Okay, some people have added their own words. That's fine as well. But yeah. So mum is not safe because we've not taught that sound. Mop, is mop safe? No, it's not. Because if we have a look at this, let me swing that around a bit more. If we look at this, mop, we've got We've not taught the sound. We've only taught up to here, right? So if we've only taught up to letter M, then we've not taught the O sound yet, so therefore that's not safe, okay? It's not safe. And then actually, maybe let's have a look at this one. So mad. Mad is also not safe. And listen to why. Listen to why. I can see some people making mistakes. I can see some people making mistakes in the chat. So if you thought that mad was safe, let me show you why it's not safe, okay? Mad. D. Okay? So mad isn't safe because we're on this sound. When we teach the D tomorrow mad will become safe. Yeah, that's right, Abishagai. Yeah, mad is not safe, but it becomes safe tomorrow in the next lesson. Okay, and that's the important thing. We're not saying that these words are bad, but we're saying when you've taught the sound, that's when mum becomes safe. When you teach the sound, that's when mop becomes safe. Okay, so this is the $1 million question. The word main. Is the word main safe? So I can see some people have already said, yes, it's safe. And some people are saying, no, it's not safe. So if you've not thought about your answer on this, think about your answer right now. Okay. Is main a safe word? Does it contain safe sounds that you've already taught? So I'm going to wait a little bit because I want everybody to get an answer together for this, and I'm going to clean my board off whilst you're doing this. Okay, so the word is main. Is the word main safe? Does it only contain sounds? Does it only contain sounds that have already been taught by the time that you get to this sound? Okay, so let's look at this. I'm seeing no, it's not safe. Yes, it is safe. I'm seeing lots of different answers. Well, no, only 2 different answers. Oh, Malin, I like your answer very much. Okay. Yeah. And Naomi's answer, yeah. So main, this might shock some of you. Main is not safe. So well done if you got that. Give yourself a little clap if you got that, right? So main is not safe. But you might be, well, you're forgiven for getting this wrong. If you got it wrong, it can be okay, because we understand that the letters, so if you think about the sounds, well, if we spell main, we're going to go M-A-I-N. So we've taught the letters, perhaps you might think, but in Jolly Phonics, phonics means sound. So we'll be thinking about the sounds, okay? So Jolly Phonics, we're thinking about the sounds. So the A sound, I'll show you this. We've taught A, because when we're doing the word main, we don't say in, we don't say ma in, we don't say ma in, do we? But instead we say main. We've got 3 sounds. If you look at over here, you've got A, and okay, so main is not safe right now, but it becomes safe when you've taught the A sound. Okay, good. All right, we've been going for about an hour, so I'm going to be coming into a landing point soon, but I just want to kind of show you a bit where we're going to be headed. Okay, so let me see if I can do this. Okay, so in our Jolly Phonics resource, you'll see pages that look like this. Okay, so if you haven't got one, you want to find out about how you can get one. There's 75 kwacha, but we also need to get them to you. So if you're on, so think about that when you are looking to buy them. We are based in Ndola, so obviously getting them from Ndola and the Copper Belt is going to be the easiest. But if you're based in other places, Lusaka does have some copies. We're also looking to talk to Bookworld to get our resource into their stores as well. So let's have a look at this page here. So I'm trying to find, there we go. So here we go. So we are looking at this page here. Okay, so this is the resource. And what you'll see is that we've got a list of safe words. So here are all the words that become safe when you teach this sound. So every lesson, as you teach a new sound, more words become safe, more words become accessible to your learners, okay? So remember, a safe word is a word that only contains sounds that you've already taught, okay? So that's a key point of Jolly Phonics. Here's some of the other kind of main highlights that we're going to be thinking about and that we're going to be looking at next time. Okay, so Jolly Phonics, as I said earlier, is about teaching these 5 skills to your learners. So the first skill is teaching the letter sounds. So that is looking at how you pronounce those sounds and saying them accurately. The next skill is how do you write those sounds? How do you form those sounds? So that's like a handwriting skill. And then this is about acquiring knowledge. So number 1 and 2 are about acquiring knowledge. And then number 3 and 4 are about applying that knowledge. So blending is the step of how do you use the knowledge of what these sounds look like and how they're pronounced to reading. And so that's about learners being able to look at a word and identifying the sounds in that word and then being able to read that word. Number 4, sounding, the 4th skill, that's about writing. So if a child wants to write a word, then they need to be able to segment it or sound it out so that they can listen to the word and identify the sounds in that word. And then because they've learned how to write the words or form the words, that's when they can actually write it down as well. Okay? So those first 4 skills are about being able to read and write decodable words. And then the 5th skill is tricky words. So some people call this sight words as well, but this is about learning some of those words where the spelling is so irregular that it's not following the rules that have been taught so far. Okay, so tricky words, basically, it's either that part of the word is tricky and is irregular, or that it contains a spelling rule that you haven't been taught yet. Okay, so those are the 5 skills. And then when it comes to Jolly Phonics, let me skip through these quite quickly, but all of these slides, do you see the Facebook logo here? All of these slides are available on our Facebook page. If you've not found our Facebook page yet, you need to be following us. There's lots of really valuable resources on there. So this is an overview of those 5 key skills. Okay. And then those 5 key skills are taught through the 8 steps. And this is the last slide that we're going to finish on today. Okay. So we're going to be going through these 8 steps, but every time you're teaching a new letter sound, you're going to be taking your learners through these steps. So you're going to start off by revising sounds that you've already done with your learners, and we're going to show you some games and some activities that you can use to practice. Then we're going to be looking at introducing a new sound through a story. And so that's going to be just a short story, but a memorable story that helps them to remember the sound of the day. That story is also going to identify an action. So you saw before that there's a story about, let's do this. So there's a story about a naughty boy called Nathan who's making a lot of noise pretending to be an aeroplane. Okay, so when we tell that story, we get our learners to pretend to be Nathan, stick their arms out and make a noise like an aeroplane and go, Okay, so we introduce a new sound through a story that leads to an action. And then we consolidate that by teaching them a song as well. Okay, So we will teach them a song that helps them to remember the story, the action, and practice the sound of the day. After they've done those steps of a lesson to learn the sound, the letter sound, then we're going to show them the handwriting and practice that. And we're going to show you a load of games that you can use to practice that with your learners, okay? Then we're also going to do, after we've taught them the letter sound and the letter formation, then we're going to show them how to apply that new sound to the skills of blending and the skills of sounding. And finally, we're going to practice some dictation as well. So that's where the teacher does an assessment of their learners by getting children to write down the sounds or the word that they are calling out. Okay, so we've gone on a little bit longer than I said that we would, but I hope that you're still with me. So today really was about giving you an overview and an orientation to Jolly Phonics, kind of giving you an idea of, sorry, that falls down. So let me start that again. Today, the purpose of today really was to make sure that all of those people that are hearing the words Jolly Phonics, or they're hearing people say the future is jolly, we want people to understand the value of this program and why it's having such an impact on the Copper Belt and why we're being asked to bring Jolly Phonics to other parts of Zambia. This Jolly Phonics program has been approved by the Curriculum Development Centre. It's been approved for use in schools at grade 1 level and grade 3 level. And so it's really a great resource for helping children to break through to English literacy, okay? If you're trying to teach PLP in English, but you're finding your learners can't access it, this is a great stepping stone to make sure that they can decode words and encode words as well, okay? So today it was really just an awareness session, but what we're going to be doing is after Christmas in the new year, before schools open, we're going to have some more evenings like this together. And we're going to go through these 8 steps. We're going to make sure that if you're trying to teach a Jolly Phonics lesson, you know what each of these 8 steps looks like so that you can deliver this program to your learners. The reason that we're not doing that right now is because the new curriculum hasn't been released yet. The new syllabi haven't been released. And therefore, we're going to wait until that is released and been made public before we can talk about how Jolly Phonics fits into this new curriculum. Because we know that it's going to be a case that teachers are going to be looking for ways to deliver the curriculum, and we know that Jolly Phonics is going to be of use at that time, okay? So we're going to come back together during that time. Can I please ask you, if you've got colleagues that have not heard of Jolly Phonics and they're supposed to be teaching English, or if you've got people that you know where they're trying to get their children to break through to literacy and they're struggling, then Jolly Phonics is the best way that we've found, and we've been looking for a long time. Okay, we're seeing great results throughout the country through this program. I would like to say that the best way to get trained in this is to have a 2-day training, a thorough training with either Beyond Ourselves or a trainer that we endorse as well. But there are other people around the country that are using Jolly Phonics, so find out about this program from them as well, okay? If you are somebody that is experienced in Jolly Phonics, we would love to hear from you because we are looking to develop trainers throughout Zambia to help support those teachers as they begin this journey into this amazing program, okay? So we will share more information. We'll share more information about these upcoming trainings on Facebook, so make sure that you're following us, make sure that you're connected to one of our WhatsApp groups, and just make sure that you're keeping an eye out for these opportunities. If you wanted to find out more about getting a resource, then do get in touch. let me put my WhatsApp number on the board. So my name is Dan, and this is my WhatsApp line, so you can see that there. So 0961 680 149, and you can send me a message directly from that as well. Okay, but if you want to find out more, you can do it that way, or you can send a message through Facebook or through Messenger as well. Okay, great. Well, thank you for joining us today. I hope you've had fun. I hope you've learned stuff. I hope that you are excited about introducing your friends and your family about this. Hey, if you know anybody that's got children that wants to break through, talk to them about this program. Remember, get the app. Get the app. It's completely free on Google Play Store. Get the book. Follow us on Facebook and find out more. And you know what? There's lots of great initiatives out there. We know that there's other Facebook groups that you can be part of, and you can learn more about Jolly Phonics through them as well. So there's lots of information out there. Do go to credible resources to look for that stuff. Think about whether they're teaching safe words or they're encouraging children to learn the word monkey, when actually that's quite a complicated word, isn't it? So stay safe over these next few days. Stay well. And remember that the future is jolly. And we hope to see you following us. And we hope to see you at the next training as well. Okay. Thank you very much. Have a good rest of your day.